Yes, now, and welcome back to episode 160 of the Top Loaded Podcast. And we have a very special guest back who's rebranded, reinvigorated himself in the world and in the hobby. But before I introduce our very special guest, a massive thanks to the guys over at Third Down UK for powering up this episode of the Top Loaded Podcast. Whether you need card supplies, custom card stands, great preparation kits, or whatever it is you need, head over to their website, head to their shop, or check out the link in our bio and use the code TTP10 at checkout to send 10% off everything, which is fantastic. But now, introducing the man who used to go by LavBreaks, who's now the one and only LavCollects, Mr. Lavender. How you doing, my friend?
Very good, thanks. How about yourself?
Yeah, no, very well. We've been talking just before coming on air, but a lot has changed since your last appearance on the podcast. And I think the elephant in the room is a different name and a rebrand. I'm a massive fan of it. But what made you think about going about the rebrand from LavBreaks into LavCollects?
I think not doing breaks for like 2 years might be a big part of that. But I think the refresh was needed with the whole rebrand, sort of the change of mindset, the difference of moving into sort of like content and stuff had to be done really. I haven't done a break, like I said, in ages, so there's no point being called LavBreaks.
It's I think you've hit the nail on the head there. But just touching on another thing there, obviously you're saying about going into content and a lot of other bits. Before we go into it in more detail, what made you go down a different line or like try and reinvigorate like the hobby? Because I think everyone gets to a point where they assess what they're doing and like have to kind of pick a road to go down. So what made you change it up?
Just like almost like change of scenery, I guess. Like getting a bit bored of just doing the same thing, collecting the same team. It's all right doing it for a bit when you're playing well, but when you're playing sort of as we have been in not a great European competition, albeit that we won it, but it's just more for fun, getting love back for the hobby and doing stuff like they haven't done before. I think that's the main thing, to be honest.
Yeah, so I'm going to go, before we talk about like shows and everything like that, I've got to talk about content because it's been doing very well for yourself of late. From seeing you opening packs actually in the middle of New York, which was brilliant to watch, to opening up recent boxes. And I'm talking about one video to begin with, which has done very well on your platforms, which was the Chelsea Lineage box, which recently come out. That blew up straight away. We were watching the numbers fly up. But for you, is that kind of thing that really intrigues you, opening boxes? But when you can combine your love for what you collect, but also doing content as well, it must be really enjoyable to do that type of content.
Yeah, it is. I mean, to be honest, it's more just for fun, but putting it out there as well for other people to see, it's nice to see people enjoy it, and the response back was pretty good. So seeing it fly like that is always pretty rewarding. But in the day, I just do it for fun more than anything. If someone comes with it, someone comes with it. But out of current view, I don't think it will.
But I think it's one of them as well. You can really tell when someone's putting out content that they enjoy doing, and the stuff that you've been putting out, whether it's been boxes, when you was going to Bleaker Trade in the New York, but even down to doing the retro packs, which I love. I think everyone who especially grew up on stickers loves seeing them being open. So I know you're a big fan of the retro stickers and stickers in general. So was that always a focus? Because you enjoy it yourself, but it gives you that excuse to buy a couple of packs when you say, oh, I'm going to do it into a TikTok anyway.
Yeah, I think it's the nostalgic value that people sort of like thrive on. They just love it. And there's, I can look around now, I can see loads of empty packs from different World Cups and Premier League eras. And it's just, people love it, and I love opening it. So, match made in heaven, really.
Yeah, so just talking about content, obviously we spoke about what you've done, but what is the plan going forward? Is it more of the same? Because obviously we're now in a fortunate position where we do have quite a lot of card shows. We have the store in the West End that can be visited for content as well. And I know you've been outside, obviously, Stamford Bridge as well for content. So what have you got really thinking about going forward for content?
More the same, really. Just sort of carry on as it is and move into sort of like a different content, I guess. Like I want to do more football shirt stuff. I do have quite a big collection of football shirts, sort of see behind my head, and I'd love to do something incorporating that as well. But I was just trying to think of what to do rather than how to do it, sort of thing. So I'm a bit like in a stuck situation where I do want to keep doing what I'm doing now, but I also want to find a new pathway. So it's just about giving it time and thinking, well, what can I do next?
That sounds like a trip to classic football shirts. Okay, I'm signing up for that one. I'll put my name down for that one because that place is dangerous. But like we say, content's great. It's so much different things you do. There's so many different alleyways, but also going away from content as well. You're now a much bigger presence as well at card shows. We see it at the last London card show over the 3 days of buying and selling, not just at London. You've gone to the Midlands, you've gone to Ireland. So what kind of aspect of that are you enjoying as well, actually buying and selling? Because there's some really nice cards that you've acquired and moved on at the same time.
Yeah, so I'm more buying stuff that isn't pretty notorious, I think, known for just having Chelsea cards on my table. So to have some variety now, I think it's a big thing. It's just like, just look at my table now. I've got John Joe Shelby Kaboom sitting here. Just stuff like that. I think that's different. Like people that maybe people don't see. People come up to your table, they offer you things that you've not seen the card like that in ages, and then you can move on to someone who maybe is looking for that card. It's a nice feeling to sort of have that presence where people can give you something and you can move on to someone who can put it straight into their PC or something like that.
So I was going to say, it must be a big learning process, not just for anyone, but especially for yourself, going into that buying and selling well, because it must take quite a few shows, and it really just depends on who's at the show, what will do well. But you do have quite a good range, as you say. Obviously, you have your Chelsea, but last one you had like Real Madrid, you had Christian Pulisic. We won't get into that one, but if you know about Pulisic, you're in Lav, they go hand in hand. But also, you had quite a lot of stickers. So, is it a learning process for you every single show to what to take or what to bring, that kind of aspect?
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's being picky of what you're buying, knowing what to buy and what moves and what doesn't move. You've got to be strict with yourself. You can't be taking every single card that comes up to the table. You've got to be like, can I move that on? Will I make profit on it? And will I be able to find this buyer for it? Or will I be sitting on this for ages?
So obviously, yeah, we were just talking about, obviously you've been to different shows, you've had tables at the last London card show. So for you and having a different variety of stock, whether it's low end, high end, English players, foreign players, whatever the set is it a real thing of, until you go to the show, you don't quite know how it's going to go down. However, from experience, you can kind of work out that should do well at this show, but might not do too well at that show.
Oh yeah, well, without a doubt. Sort of like the London shows, you take your London teams, the Midland stage, you take your Northern teams and stuff like that. It's just knowing you're never really going to truly know what's going to move and what's not. So you're better off taking sort of as much as you can, taking up as much table space as you can. But especially the stuff that comes up to the table, you can't predict it. You can go from having one of one Messi's to having like flip through cards. It's mental, really. So having sort of like the open mind going into every show is very important, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially with like the London card show, it gives you that aspect of being a 3-day event now. Is it tricky for a vendor now, because you want to take stock for all 3 days, but then you don't want to take too much stock and fill too much equity up in stock? So how did you go about it this time? Did you have like all your stock out, but buy and trade, like sell going through it? Or was it a case of hold some stock back, or was it just hopefully just put it out there, what goes, and then we just go from there on?
I think, to be honest, where I'm sort of still just starting up, really, I don't have like tables and tables of stock. So it's quite easy just to put everything out. But the Friday of London this time just gone, I've more focused on buying.
Yeah.
And for the Saturday and the Sunday, and that worked really well. There's sort of cards I picked up on the Friday that moved quickly on the Saturday or the Sunday, and vice versa. Like if I picked up on the Saturday, it moved on the Sunday. Some even on the same day. I had a Cole Palmer White out of 20 I bought sort of like in an hour, and then the next hour I sold it. So it's just being like picky. I think it's just being picky. You have to be to know what's going to move, and being like strict with yourself. You can't pick up every card, and I think that's just so important.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially if we just tap on like different types of sets, because there's so many sets now. We've grown from a hobby where we both joined it at a stage where there was still quite a few sets, but now it's probably triple the amount of what it was. Like if you look at the moment, within the last 2 months, we've had Chrome release, we've had Logo Fractor release, we've had Impeccable, we've had Select, no doubt Prism as well. Like, it's just so many sets in such a small period of time. And is there another thing to consider as well, especially for yourself, that when a set has just come out, the inflation of the price can be higher. So you've got to really keep on top of what is selling and what is out of time, because you don't look at the hobby within a 2-week spell and you could miss 2-3 releases, or someone's prices, for example, Lamine Yamal's prices have just gone skyrocketed in the last like 2 weeks, which we will talk about later on. But it must be tricky for someone buying and selling to keep on top of all the prices.
Yeah, I tend to take a sort of like a miss on the new stuff because it's always going to be overhyped, oversold anyway. So like Prism that came out recently, I didn't buy any of that at the show because I knew people were going to be wanting like a lot of money compared to what they would if it was like sort of now, I guess, because Prism's been out for a couple of months, maybe now, a month. So you just got to be vigilant with what you bring in. Like I said, it is just continuously on that point, like being picky with what you're buying. I know I repeat myself a lot, but it's just so important, I think. And like the stuff like Knockout and the paper sets, that's what I sort of tend to avoid because it's so heavily overprinted. Unless it's like the super low stuff and like autos, they do all right, but they're like sort of like the Atom 49s and stuff like that. I don't tend to pick up because they're just not easily movable because there's just so many of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you've gained quite a lot of experience already this year, let alone buying and selling, whether it was London Card Show, Midlands, but also going over to Dublin for the Dublin Card Show, which was a fantastic experience. So how did you find that one, setting up in a completely different country with different currency? Like, how did you go about that? Because that must be quite an interesting experience. And at the same time, even when I was just walking around, I had to remember, right, these prices are euros, they're not pounds. And then you got to do like the conversion. And then someone would have something in dollars, and you're just like trying to work it all out.
Yeah, to be honest, I should have really thought about that more because I put everything in pounds, and then people are thinking, "Oh, it must be in euros because we're in Ireland." I didn't think to like that would be their first like port of call. So I think maybe I should have put it in euros or specify that it was in pounds. But at the end of the day, the exchange rate's not that far off anymore, so it wasn't like massive problems. But I definitely think that Dublin was a big show. I went to TradeWe the day before. I bought quite a big lot of stuff, and the stuff moved quickly, like Liverpool stuff. That people in Ireland are crazy about Liverpool, and that stuff just moves so quickly over there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to just touch on that point because I remember you and GBW went up there and you were saying we're looking for Irish players and stuff that does well. But I think that's another thing of that's where you're learning and maturing within the hobby, that you know what to look for, but also it's knowing, like, for example, there's a big follower base of Liverpool in Ireland. Like I say, the Irish national team does very well in Ireland as well, whereas the England one not as well in England. So do you find that quite interesting as well, that how different places can just see the hobby in completely different fashion?
Yeah, it's all a learning curve, really. You got to sort of target your audience, and you got to be like thinking, if I'm going to be in, let's say, in Barcelona, you're not going to sell many Madrid cards. You're going to sell a lot of Barca, and vice versa. If you're in Madrid, you're not going to sell many Barca cards. You got to think who your target audience is and aim it for that. If you're going to a show, I think if you're going into a show with stuff that has like no relevancy to the country, the place you're in, you're not going to do as well as if someone that has. I think that's such a big thing going into a show.
Yeah, I think that, speaking from personal experience as well, seeing different shows, and it's even depending on, like, for example, I know we've experienced this, depending on the time of the year, even at the same card show, can really affect different people's pricing, what to buy, what not to buy. But I've
Payday.
got, payday is a massive one. We can testify to that one. But just we're talking about like London Card Show, for example, now, and seeing the growth of that. Obviously, next April we're going over to the XL, which I can't wait for, no doubt. But now we used to have this conversation. I've had it with Troy, Sunday League Investors, and a few other guys about when the Americans come over the first time, and it was near enough all raw stock in the UK. How do you find that raw to grade it? Because it feels like it's a very interesting spot at the moment where sometimes a 9 can go for less than the raw, but then on exactly the same card, but another time a 9 can go for double the raw. It's just such a weird market at the moment for near enough every player in every set.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think PSA 9s, people have sort of almost turn their nose up at it as if it's sort of like it's like I look at PSA 9 and I think, yeah, that's not bad. Some people look at PSA 9 and look at this, but it's like a 4. It's like crazy, really. I tend to only really buy PSA 10s because I think people do think that PSA 9s just aren't as much value as like, and they sort of grade it at raw, which is tough sometimes, which is why I tend to just pick up the 10s. But if someone offered me a 9 and like a really cool card, then I'd have to take it. But I think the raw argument is like, it's hard to explain. Like, people like, I really don't know. People like the raw cards because they think they can try grade it themselves to get the 10. But most of the time, if I have a raw card, it's because it's not gradable.
Yeah.
So it is really difficult to sort of distinguish like what to take and what to sort of put out there because people are just so picky of what they want to have as their grade.
Yeah, that's the same. I think that's just come with, like we say, from you've got to be picky now. And I think that with the UK, it got to a point where at the beginning, people were buying 7s and 8s like the prices of 9s because they weren't available. And only if we could go back to that market was crazy to think of. But I've got to say, we always talk about, I feel like every time you're on, we talk about one of our favourite sets, which is Topps Nows. And Topps have probably got a few extra Christmas dinners sorted off the back of obviously the Arsenal women winning the Women's Champions League, Chelsea winning the Conference League. We're both getting quite a few cards apiece. So obviously your Chelsea have won the Conference League. Very nice card designs. Cole Palmer one, which for people who don't realise, any card that has a chase of a net relic, ball relic, or $11.99 now, which is quite expensive, especially when you're buying a multiple. But also there was a few other cool designs. I know there was a Jadon Sancho, obviously, which is not the most desirable one for Chelsea fans. The whole team lifting the trophy, but then also a very cool one. Obviously, Chelsea becoming the first team to win all of the different UEFA competitions. So Topps Nows, I know you love them. I know I love them.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts when the Chelsea ones come out?
To be honest, I was a bit disappointed they only done 4. I know we're in like the 3rd tier competition, but the ones they chose as well. The Palmer was cool. The team photo was cool, and I really liked the cup one. I thought the Sancho one was a bit random, considering that he might not even stay, and they released it right at the end of the season. So I think that might have like a really low print run, but the others were really cool. And I think the ball relic is going to be a huge chase. I think the aftermarket of that's going to be crazy. I know a lot of people sort of like the Chelsea group chat that I'm in, so I've ordered like hundreds, like try to chase them, which is nuts, really. But yeah, they are super cool, like to see them get released. But I think I'm gonna have to go for aftermarket rather than trying to hit the parallels because by the looks of it, people are going crazy.
Yeah, I was going to say, if the sensible option is probably, you know what, throw your hat in the ring, buy one of each just to try the lottery system. I can't say I've done that with the women's one, and I've not done the sensible option, but I was left wanting a little bit more from the Arsenal women's ones as well, funny enough. And I was going to ask you this one, because there was one card in particular I wanted, which was a Renee Schlager's one. Would you have liked to have seen an Enzo Moresco one? Because they gave bloody Big Ange one, despite by the time the parallels arrive, he might be sacked. So it would be nice to have a manager one for both of ours as well.
Yeah, and I've not really had like I know a lot of Chelsea fans don't like Moresco, but I actually quite like him. I collected quite a few of his stickers from his playing days as well. And yeah, it would have been nice to see one of him with the trophy or just anything really, because I think he has had a good season. It's very gone under the radar really. To get 4th in the league and to win a cup is pretty good for a first season, especially since it's a big step up from the Championship with Leicester. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed to be honest, but hopefully we can go on and push in some cups next season and maybe get a nice Premier League tops now, because we all know they're coming.
That's why you're so good. The segment is just incredible. My next talking point was about the Premier League and the Topps license, because obviously it's going to be more intriguing next year. Whereas at the moment it was quite a nice balance between Premier League was Panini, Topps was UEFA competitions. Now obviously Topps have just got everything, bar the Club World Cup. So now for you, obviously, actually, funny enough, you're going to be in the Club World Cup. You're going to have all that stuff, but coming to Topps next year, that's going to be a interesting point, especially for you at buyer and selling, because there's going to be so many top sets featuring like Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, all the teams in Europe. Lucky enough for Man United, they still get Topps cards, but just the Premier League set. Um,
Yeah.
But for you, do you think that's going to affect the market at all, having so many top sets of? I've got a feeling it's going to be at sometimes one a week, if not maybe 2 releases in every week for a while, because they're going to do knockout Champions League, they're going to do Premier League, they're going to do Premier League Chrome, Premier League Sapphire, Champions League Chrome, Champions League Sapphire, and it could be quite repetitive.
Yeah, I think it's like when the Topps got the license, I was a bit like, it is quite good, but at the same time, Panini released some high quality sets for the Premier League. You got your likes of Prism, you got Select. I can't think of too many more that they do. Maybe you got like paper set like Score.
Yeah.
But Panini's Select and Prism are like 2 of my favourite sets. I'm so gutted really to see them go. I know we're still going to have like FIFA Select maybe, and you got the Club World Cup Prism coming out, but it's not going to be quite the same as Premier League Prism and Premier League Select. So to see Topps get that license, it's a bit like sour really in my head. I mean, it's good for the obviously Topps being like quite a big presence in England and for that retrospect, but I think with the amount of sets they put out already for the Champions League, you sort of see like a set every other week. To see now that they've got the Premier League license as well, I hope that they don't put out even more sets. I hope they keep it to the amount of sets they got now in the Champions League and they spread it across the 2.
Yeah.
Because they just can't be keep putting out sets. It would just ruin the market, I think. If you'd have like the same player for like Chelsea who has like 30 different parallels and like 30 out of 49s in different sets, so like it will just be pretty detrimental, I think, for the market.
Yeah, no, I definitely echo that, and I think it's going to be very interesting. I think that first year of the license starts in June as well. So physically, from this month, they can put out sets. So
yeah,
as soon as the teams have announced their new kits, they're coming out there. They will probably do Topps now for new kit releases, knowing Topps and their license what they've got for the Premier League. But talking about Premier League license, and one of the last sets that we're ever going to get from Panini for the moment, which is impeccable. It is a lovely set, and I see one that you shared recently, which was an Eden Hazard autograph. Impeccable Seasons, I think it was, 14-15.
Yeah.
That is a stunning card.
Oh, yeah. That was one of the sets I forgot actually about Panini. It's been impeccable. I didn't think about that. That's another set, obviously, that's high quality premium that people love. And that Hazard card. The only downside is it's the 14-15 season, and he's in the 18-19 kit. I think stuff like that's just silly, like that Topps and Panini do. But it does look incredible, impeccable. There's a lot of on-card autos and big chases for Chelsea. They've got the Tyreek George rookies. Yeah, it's definitely one that I'm going to be looking at to pick up some stuff off of.
I was going to say, I think Impeccable's always one of them that when it was first coming out in the 2019 territory prior to the pandemic, it was a lot more on-card autos, and that really made that set. I know some of the early Cristiano Ronaldos and players like that, the prices are crazy now. But you fast forward it to this year, and they have slowly, given credit, Panini, where it's due, they have got a lot more on-card autos again. Obviously, there's still some stickers, but the on-card autos just work so well. And like you say, like it just makes it so much more that you know that the player's literally picked up the item and gone, signed it. Even if he's thrown it across the table afterwards, it's still he's picked it up. That's really cool.
It is true. Yeah, it is pretty cool. I think on-card autos as well. They've got a lot more value in them, which I've noticed doing more with buying and selling. I've got a Van der Sar auto on card, and that goes for a lot more than what you thought like a sticker auto would go for. It's surprising, really, just because they've signed on the card. And that's probably quite an obvious thing, but to me, it just seemed like I didn't expect there to be such a gap between the two. But yeah, on-card autos, they're just so much better.
Yeah, and I think another piece of news that Panini shared last week that's got our good friend GBW absolutely ecstatic and probably his bank account crying was the announcement for the EFL license, which there's no kidding about. It's long overdue. We've been saying about it. Like, even for us, we're not going to really be collecting anything from these sets, but having them 92 teams in England, that only 20 of them were represented at a time, it was not fair. Like, some of the players who have gone through the Football League system or even after the Premier League have dropped down, it's just really cool to see. They've announced that the license is for stickers and trading cards, which will feature autographs and relics, which is great to see. But I think the thing that everyone's saying is it's about time.
Oh, without a doubt. I think Wrexham probably had a big play in that because obviously they've got the Hollywood owners as such.
Yeah.
And but yeah, to have a set that's going to have all the EFL teams in it, yeah, it is long overdue. The fans that collect sort of like the Premier League stuff, they can even see it and be like, yeah, they all deserve it. If you think the teams that dropped down from the Premier League into the Championship might not come up again, like Luton. Look at Luton; they've gone down to League One now, and they're quite lucky, really, to say that they're going to have at least some stickers or some cards that are collectible. The teams like that, they deserve cards and stickers to be collected. There's without a doubt.
Oh yeah, I think looking at some of the players as well that have started their careers or played part of their careers in the Football League, which would have been really cool, whether it's Harry Kane for Leyton Orient or Millwall or Norwich, Eze obviously for QPR, but even like an Elise for Reading, Jamie Vardy at Fleetwood. There's a load of players. I was even thinking there was a team that have just come back up from the National League, which was Barnet. How cool would it be to have an Edgar Davids Barnet card?
Yeah.
Like, the amount of stuff that they can do with this license, obviously it's going to be one to see. I believe the first release is meant to be in the November area, which will probably be a sticker book to begin with. However, the amount of people this could open the door up to in terms of collecting is very promising because there's 72 teams. Even if 10 people per team start collecting it, you're near enough on 1,000 people there.
Yeah.
But obviously for you, as Chelsea, especially someone who looks at prospects, for example, obviously he's left now, but Amari Hutchinson when he was on loan at Ipswich, it opens a door as well to like players that have been loaned out, like youngsters at big teams, for their rookies to be out on loan. I think that could be another great thing for the market in the long run as well.
Yeah, you could have like sort of first cards of rookies that have come up from low leagues and stuff like you said, like Vardy and the likes, and you could get like early rookie cards and stickers graded. That'd be just like really cool. And yeah, following like the Chelsea loan army as such, we send hundreds of players, it seems, out on loan every year. So to have like sort of stickers that you can collect of all of those would be pretty cool. Yeah, I do agree.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm really looking forward to that one. Obviously, it's going to be one of them that until we won't know more until the latter stages of the year. But it's going to be really cool. I've been speaking to a few people who are Leyton Orient fans, and they can't wait for it. Whether it's just the stickers or the cards, they're saying they can't believe they're going to be able to send something to PSA, which is like Leyton Orient. Like, imagine that someone who's probably collected England stuff or players they like could be a Carlisle fan. Sadly, not Carlisle; they've just gone down. But could be anyone like a Salford. It could be anyone like that. And they're like, actually, you know what? I can actually collect my thing. And it's the competitiveness of that market. It's not going to be anything like some of the other cards as well. That you're going to see some really cool collections straight away because there'll be some big fish and there only might be 4 or 5 people collecting it. So that's going to be really intriguing. So now there's one other release I want to talk about. I'm not going to go into all the politics. I'll briefly touch on it. But Logo Fractor did launch last week at the Fanatic store on Regent Street at £90 a box, 5 boxes per person, which then went to £115, 3 boxes per person. And then on the last couple of cases which they had left today, reports are that it went up to £145 to £150, but I have not had that officially confirmed, but a few people have said that. So talking about Logo Fractor, away from the politics, are you a fan of the set? Because obviously F1 is where it was deputized and it went down very well. It's a higher print run than F1, but I've got to admit, of what I've seen, it does look a very nice card release.
Yeah, I'm not definitely not going to go into what I think about the whole price and stuff because we both know what we both think about it. But yeah, it does look like a nice set, and I do like the Starball parallels. They are pretty cool. I think every card's numbered under 75, apart from the night vision. So yeah, it does look a nice set, and to be only Champions League as well, that sort of like upper echelon premium set as such. Like the Logo Fractor and the F1 went so well, it was only a matter of time before I come over to football. But yeah, I do think it is a really nice set actually, and the autos that have come out have been pretty cool. There's not really an auto checklist, so it'd be nice to see sort of what the chase is for once. But yeah, without going to the politics, like we said, it does look like I say,
yeah. Like I say, it's it looks like it's all sold out now. But all I'm saying, the only thing I will say on it, if Tops are gonna do a dynamic pricing model, and this is the only advice I will take from them, dynamic means it don't just go up; it can also go down. And if you've got boxes like Women's Chrome in your store, £120 retail, which I have seen going on eBay in America and I've been offered boxes in America at $40 per hobby. You wonder why it's not selling. Just please make it fair. If you're going to rise prices, bring prices down when you've got a lot of stock and you can't sell them. But leave that in the past. To finish it off, obviously, we're going to talk about our PCs quickly. But before I do that, if you haven't and you wanted to hear another podcast, which I think you recently featured on, a good friend of mine, Mitch in America, is on World Cards podcast. If you drop me a message or I'll send you over the link to it, we talk all about the women's side of it, and it's a very intriguing conversation and a podcast I recommend. But going into what we're collecting, obviously going into the summer months, before our different trips, I've got about 7 weeks international now, which I can't believe already. But for you, obviously, as we've referenced there's been a few sets, whether it's George you're going to start collecting, if it's going to be Hazard from Impeccable. Is there anything you've got your eyes on PC-wise rather than buying and selling at the moment?
Yeah, a lot of Hazard Chelsea stuff's coming out recently, which I've been waiting for, to be honest, because he hasn't really had much before. So to see a lot and buy a lot, it's coming like a steam train. Like the amount of stuff that's been coming out for it. That Drogba as well, getting a lot of that stuff in the new sets. A lot of sort of legend stuff, and then Tyreek George, I think, who's quality, in my opinion. I want to get a few more bits of his stuff. I think I might have some Tops now. Parallels coming, maybe, I don't know. I've got a bit of a cryptic email from Tops, so hopefully something's coming there. But yeah, that's sort of like the main chase at the moment. Sort of like the Hazard, the Drogba. Obviously, the other legends like Terry, Lampard, Czech, they're all in the new Chrome. That I would like to pick up some of their bits. But yeah, mainly Hazard, to be honest, out of all of them.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Eden Hazard. And I think, moving on to that, I think, have you got any? What's your next card show? Because it's kind of a bit of a quieter period at the moment for card shows. So, what's the next one for you? Is it the next London card show?
I think we both know that the next card show for me is New York and the Fanatics Fest, which I haven't really looked too much into. I sort of just booked it because I can't go to the National due to having an electrical exam that week. So to be able to do that is going to be pretty special. Again, with obviously Real Harry's World runner who runs the London Card Show, and yeah, we're going to go over there. We're going to experience New York a bit. I have actually been to New York already this year, so to go on my own now and I know a bit more what I want to do, get to a Yankees game and go to this show, because I think this show is going to be crazy, to be honest. The amount of like stars that are going there, the cards are going to be on channel. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And then obviously we have got London. I think it's a few weeks after that, maybe a month or two after that, and then on to the Sports Cards Social in September the 12th-ish. I want to say maybe the 13th. Around then, that will be my next 3 shows, I believe, coming up.
Yeah, that's I'll tell you something. There's worse schedules than that I've ever had.
Yeah.
That New York sounds incredible. You had me at the Yankees game. That's a great little stadium to go to. But like I say, massive thanks for joining us. And that sounds like it's going to be some brilliant couple of weeks. But before you go, so people know where to see all the stuff that you're putting up content-wise as well, whereabouts should they check you out?
So it's I think it's LavCollects UK on Instagram. And then on TikTok, it's just LavCollects, because I managed to get the name on there, but not on Instagram. So, yeah, it's LavCollects on TikTok, LavCollects UK on Instagram.
Like I say, a massive thanks again, but also head over to the channel. And if you need the links on the Instagram post, it'll be down below. Or if you need the TikTok of it, head over to Lav's Instagram page. It's all linked there. Or if you have any questions for him, head over there, because I no doubt there's some great cards that will be going up on his eBay very soon as well. So check out his eBay, because there's some lovely cards, including a certain Messi card that I'm not going to spoil it. So if you want to see a really, really nice Messi, head over to his eBay, because it'll be up on there. But like we say, a massive thanks again for joining us. It's going to be a long time, because I'm getting you on after Fanatics Fest, because I need to know what goes down there when you're hanging with Tom Brady, Speed, and everyone else. God knows who else is going to be there. So, but just a massive thanks again to Third Down for powering up this episode of the Top Loader Podcast. Whether you need card supplies, custom card stands, great preparation kits, or whatever you may need in the hobby, head over to their website, check out their shop, or use the link in our bio and use the code TTP10 at checkout for 10% off your full order. But most importantly, hope everyone out there is staying safe, doing well, buying, selling, trading, and all that good jazz. But most importantly, happy hobbying and good night.